land of the free, the home of the brave. For many years, we have prided ourselves on this country, its military strength and economic power. But over the last few years, we see a great increase in the divide among the people. And this divide is brought on by corrupt government, politicians, and millionaires with one thing in mind, and that's profiting off of everything that can be profited from, no matter what the expense may be to those around them. Greed is one of the highest contributing factors to war, and with greed on the rise, division spreading amongst the general population, the United States is very well on the brink of a civil war. This is not something that I hope, this is not something that I look forward to, and I don't think that many people do, but this is something that we have to contemplate and something that we may very well have to deal with in the immediate future. If we look at politics today and the divide that politics is creating across this nation, then we'll see that this divide is not weakening, this divide is strengthening, and it's getting wider and wider. One of the concerning factors is the emergence of socialism. Many people seem this day and age in the United States to think that socialism may be a path that this nation needs to take, though history has shown us quite differently. No socialist nation has ever succeeded for an extended period of time, at least not without the sacrifice of their people. Socialism generally leads to an economic disaster, and the reason for that is when the government provides for everyone, then someone has to provide for the government to pay for all this. The middle and upper class will be the ones to provide for the government, while others are benefiting from the services and similar that are provided. It's not the benefits that the government provides that will be such a problem, it's the dependence on these benefits and the lack of opportunities outside of these. When the government completely controls industry, healthcare, and other aspects of our lives, then the major corporations will be the only things that have influence upon the government. And the government, along with these corporations, would work hand in hand at securing their fortunes and taking care of themselves, while leaving the ones that are dependent on them basically out in the cold. The first groups to suffer are the ones that are dependent upon the government. These are the first to run out of food. An economic disaster or economic collapse would quite easily lead into a civil war. The United States is more divided than it was even in the time of the Civil War. It's not the North versus the South or something as simple as that. It's become much more complex that we can hardly discuss in a single video, much less a single discussion. When we look at the divide in the nation, it's not a divide along equal lines, and what I mean by that is it's not so cut and dry. The divide in the nation is divided among several different avenues or several different fronts. It's not a line, it's more like a jagged edge. We have people talking about race wars. We have people talking about class wars. We have people talking about martial law, military invasion. We have people worried about the government itself coming and taking what you have and confiscating everything that you've worked hard for. We have people that simply disagree because of political values. But the situation has intensified over the last few years, and as we've all seen riots in the streets, political turmoil, we've seen murder. We've seen politicians get away with murder, and worse. We've seen people completely desecrating the American flag and plotting and planning American destruction. As we speak, as we watch this video, there are people, politicians of certain political parties or factions that openly advocate revolution and the overthrow of the government, and these parties often do so on a very public level. This type of behavior could have been considered treasonous many years ago, but somehow is tolerated in this modern society, and this results in spreading the divide even further. With this type of civil unrest, then it would be safe to say at some point the military, the government, would possibly step in, which could be the onset of a civil war in its own. No matter what the reasons behind a civil war, no matter what the causes, one thing remains true, and that's a civil war is probably one of the most difficult types of events to recover from on a national level. Because at some point, industries will be destroyed, power plants will be destroyed, people will die on a massive level. When it comes to war, no one thinks they're gonna lose it. One of the sides is always wrong. There's never two winners. History has been written by those who've won the wars, no matter what the defining moment is. The fact remains that this nation will reach its tipping point, and when that time comes, then we will see, just as we have in the past, state versus state, town versus town. neighbor versus neighbor, and family versus family. In a civil war, there are very well no true winners, because a civil war tears the fabric apart that the society was built upon and can leave a nation in much worse condition than it originally was in. A civil war is not a war that's simply going to end and things go back to normal. This is the type of war that would change everything forever. Even the winners of the Civil War don't get what they want. The nation is never going to be what one person pictures it to be. The nation is going to be what all of us combined make it to be. And when we can't focus on the same goals, and we can't be determined and work together and build this nation up instead of tearing it down, then civil war becomes an inevitability. But going back to the fact that it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or what you believe, all that matters is that this nation is tearing itself apart, and it's being done by our leaders at the highest levels that are pushing us further and further apart. How many nations in this world throughout history have had a civil war and came out of it better than they were before? But the real question is, can the United States survive another civil war? Can we pull through and build this nation great again? Or will we fall to our knees and in our weakened state be taken by another government, a world government, another country? And that is one of the scenarios that we also have to take into account, is that when we weaken our nation by fighting ourselves, then we open the doors for those who wish to come in and take what we do have and eradicate our freedoms and our beliefs and our lives. We have the formation of a one world government such as the UN, who attempts to govern and pass laws and rule the entire world. This could very well lead to a situation in which every country in the world tries to suppress its own citizens and then possibly end up with a massive worldwide civil war. The Civil War is not an answer to a problem. The answer to the problem is understanding one another and compromise and building a nation, rebuilding a nation, or building a nation further that's stronger than it was before instead of more divided and weaker than it's ever been. There will come a time when we have to stand, when we have to fight, and that enemy may be foreign, it may be domestic, but no matter which it is, those that do stand and fight will be fighting for what they truly believe in and be fighting for their children, for their families, for their futures. A civil war isn't about today. A civil war is about tomorrow and the tomorrows after that. So no matter the cause, no matter the reason, no matter why, the truth and the facts remain that when this event does happen, it will change not just America forever, but the world.